Great. The best children that I used to read. My niece, my brother's daughter. Wow. Not a whole class. No, by sitting, she was quietly sitting. Yes, I think also as coach. Your laptop, so it comes. I need to. So, wait long time. Yeah, 2001. Wow. 24 years. Jai Radha. Jai Radha.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय निमित्तमात्रं तत्रासीन्
Nittamatram tatrasya. Which one you are reading? 16.
no 17
412, 17.
sorry 412 sorry by mistake opened 411 and then I realized
Wow. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It all.
no
So plan it.
no
So,
yes, please forgive me.
Nittamatram.
Sadarsh, yeah, 412, yeah, 17. Sorry. तस्यां विशुद्धकर्णा शिववार्विगाह्य तस्यां विशुद्धकर्णा शिववार्विगाह्य बद्वासनं जितमरुन्मनसा हृताक्षः जितमरुन्मनसा हृताक्षः स्थूले दधार भगवत् प्रतिरूप एतद् भगवत् प्रतिरूप एतद् ध्यायंस्तत् अव्यवहितो व्यसृजत् समाधौ Anyone?
Tasyam visuddhakarana sivavarvigaya. Tasyam visuddhakarana sivavarvigaya. Badvasananditamarum manasadaksha. Tude dadhara bhagavat pratirupa eka. Tude Jayam satat abhyas yahitopas yasraja samadhav.
तस्यां विशुद्धवर्णा शिववादिहाय बद्ध्वासनं जितमनु मनसा हितां शरणम् तुभ्ये ददार भगवत्प्रतिरूप एष यां सर्वं हितो यश्चिदत्समाधौ
Tasyam, in Badrikashram, Vishuddha, purified, Karana, his senses, Shiva, pure, Vah, water, Vigahya, bathing in, Badva, having fixed, Asanam, sitting position, Jita, controlled, Marut, breathing process, Manasa, by the mind, Ahrita, withdrawn, Akshaha, his senses, Sthule, physical, Dhara, he concentrated, Bhagavad Pratirupe, on the exact form of the Lord, Etat, the mind, Dhyayan, meditating upon, Tat, that, Avyavahitaha, without stopping, Vyasrijat, he entered, Samadho, into trance. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. But in Badrikashram, Dhruva Maharaj's senses became completely purified because he bathed regularly in the crystal clear purified water. He fixed his sitting position and by yogic practice controlled the breathing process and the air of life. In this way, his senses were completely withdrawn. Then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, which is the exact replica of the Lord, and thus meditating upon him entered into complete trance. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Here is a description of the Ashtanga Yoga system to which Dhruva Maharaj was already accustomed. Ashtanga Yoga was never meant to be practiced in a fashionable city. Dhruva Maharaj went to Badrikashram and in a solitary place, alone, he practiced yoga. He concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha, the worshipful deity of the Lord, which exactly represents the Supreme Lord, and thus, thinking constantly of that deity, he became absorbed in trance. Worship of the Archa Vigraha is not idol worship. The Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Lord in a form appreciable by a devotee. Therefore, devotees engage in the temple in the service of the Lord as Archa Vigraha, a form made of sthula, objects such as stone, metal, wood, jewels, or paint. All of these are called sthula or physical representations. Since the devotees follow the regulative principles of worship, even though the Lord is there in his physical form, he is non-different from his original spiritual form. Thus, the devotee gets the benefit of achieving the ultimate goal of life, that is to say, becoming always absorbed in thought of the Lord. This incessant thought of the Lord, as prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita, makes one the topmost yogi. Again, Om Jnanatimirandasya, Jnananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I have no qualification, nor do I have any realization. Just like to repeat whatever I have heard, and I beg for the blessings of everyone. Vanchakalpatarubhishya Pasundabhya Paitanam Bhavnabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. So, this is a very, very wonderful verse. In Badrikashram, Dhruva Maharaj's senses became completely purified because he bathed regularly in the crystal clear purified water. He fixed his sitting position and by yogic practice controlled the breathing process and the air of life. In this way, his senses were completely withdrawn. Then he concentrated his mind on the Arsha Vigraha form of the Lord, which is the exact replica of the Lord, and thus meditating upon him, entered into complete trance. It's a very wonderful verse actually. And as with everything in Krishna consciousness, my revered spiritual master mentioned that every single word in Srimad Bhagavatam is actually a glorification of Srimati Radharani. So every single word, every single akshar is actually according to our previous acharyas, specifically Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is describing the love that the Brajvasis have for Krishna. Aradhyo Bhagavan Prajeshatanesta Dhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarta Mahan. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is actually description of the Brajvasis' love for Krishna. Every single verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup Shri Bhagavata Tate Veda Shastra Hoite Parama Mahatma. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup, the mellows of the love between the Lord and his dear devotees, that has taken the form of Bhagavatam. That's why in our Sampradaya, Acharyas, particularly Sanatana Goswami, has given this wonderful prayer to Srimad Bhagavatam. Madeka Bandhu Mad Sangin Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Man Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Anandana Mostate. So Sanatana Goswami is saying that Srimad Bhagavatam is my only friend, Mad Eka Bandhu, my only companion, Mad Sangin, Mad Guru, my spiritual master, Mahadana, my greatest wealth, Man Nishtaraka, my only shelter, Mad Bhagya, my only fortune, Mad Ananda, my only ecstasy. So Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very dear to all our acharyas. So when we read this verse, that how Dhruva Maharaj was taking bath in that crystal clear water, we should understand that for us, when we take bath, we actually, the proper way to take bath is actually to take bath in the nectar of the narrations of the Supreme Lord. That is the real bath, actually. That is the real purification. So since we are talking about worshipping the deity form of the Lord, our deity worship is not ordinary deity worship. Although Srila Prabhupada, see, Prabhupada is very, very expert. Prabhupada gave us the highest thing, but at the same time, Prabhupada gave us the vidhi so that we don't become careless, we don't become complacent, we don't become offensive. So Prabhupada, wherever Srila Prabhupada knows that the conditioned souls are bound to take it for granted, Srila Prabhupada gave us very strict rules and regulations in so many ways, deity worship. But actually, this is Radha Krishna. This is Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna means that this is Vrindavan. Vrindavan means that the residents of Vrindavan are there. So in every temple, just like Prabhupada made a statement yesterday, recently this Anuttam Prabhu was quoting that, of course, in America we have wooden floor, but many temples we have marble floor. So Prabhupada said that this is a very, very important statement. Prabhupada said that the deity of the marble and the deity on the floor is no difference. So Prabhupada was making the point that as much as we are so careful to keep the deity well cared for, to serve the deity, in the same way we should care for the temple. But there's also a deeper meaning to that. And the deeper meaning is that as much as the deity represents, like Krishna, Radharani, they represent the mood of course, this Krishna is the supreme, is the center, the spiritual world. But Krishna brings with him Vrindavan. So in the same way, every part of the temple is actually Vrindavan. And so the more and more we cultivate this mood that we're living in Vrindavan, or we're living in Navadvip Dham, and we're living with the residents of the Dham, and we're very careful, to that extent, the deity will reveal itself. The deity will reveal itself. So here it is being mentioned that Dhruva Maharaj was taking bath. So we have to bathe ourselves in the regular chanting and dancing of the holy name. Only by bathing our consciousness in that chanting and dancing, only then will our worship of the deity be actually meaningful. Because the main way to worship Krishna is actually by the chanting of the holy name. Because to please Krishna in this age of Kali is not possible unless we please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mainly is pleased by the chanting of the holy name, and specifically congregational chanting. So to the extent that we engage ourselves in congregational chanting, dancing, spreading, to that extent the deity will manifest. To that extent our worship of the deity will be complete. So by bathing, and yes, senses were completely withdrawn. So a devotee has to be, speaking for myself, a devotee has to be very, very careful that whether he is in front of Krishna or he is not in front of the deity of Krishna, one has to be very, very vigilant to notice what the mind is registering. So that's very, very important. The best example of this kind of vigilance can be seen in many of our acharyas, but the six Goswamis personify that vigilance, how much careful they were with their association, with their sadhana. And very recently Prabhupada, although Srila Prabhupada was or is an eternal associate of the Lord, in Prabhupada's dealings, how careful Prabhupada was. How careful was Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada never ever displayed any kind of freedom or liberty. Prabhupada was very, very careful. Prabhupada followed the rules and regulations very, very strictly. Like one time, Prabhupada's sister was very, very, Prabhupada said that she is also a pure devotee of the Lord, and she is also initiated by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very wonderful devotee. So one time very elderly, like super elderly, like you can say grandmother. So even though she was so elderly, Prabhupada was so upset with his secretary that why did you leave me in the room alone with her? So Prabhupada showed that how much strict he was, how much strict we should be um, with the rules and regulations, with controlling the senses. So we need to be very, very careful because, yes, this congregational chanting and dancing and spreading Krishna consciousness is, is absolutely important. For us to sustain our Krishna consciousness, association and service in the association is very important. But at the same time, because we are a worldwide movement, we may encounter many distractive, situations. So in those distractive situations, it is our responsibility to maintain our sobriety. So yeah, controlling the senses is very, very important. Sobriety. Sobriety, yes. Yeah. Is in Sanskrit, the word is called dhira. So after we are able to, um, we have the maturity to know how to avoid what we should avoid. Actually, Prabhupada speaks everything very, very meticulously in his books. Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita about mind control that in order to practice mind control, one should be very careful to accept favorable situations and reject unfavorable situations for his meditation. So once one has become mature in this way, because I'm speaking for myself, see, sense gratification is very, very natural, is very, you can say, swabhavik, it's intrinsic, especially to myself. Therefore, when we come to Krishna consciousness, um, it is very, very easy for someone to mask Krishna consciousness or mask sense gratification in the name of Krishna consciousness. So, one has to be very, very vigilant in that regard. So, once one is, because that is the real meaning of what does it mean to desire to please Krishna? To please Krishna senses means not to please, desire to please one's senses independently. So wherever there is no Krishna, that is Maya. That is Maya. So when one becomes very, very careful in his sense as much as possible, he's very careful uh, about what he subjects, what he exposes his senses to. When he demonstrates sincerity on this platform, then what happens? Then Krishna gives us the opportunity to meditate on him. Actually, meditating on Krishna is the greatest fortune in the material and spiritual worlds. And the purpose of service is actually to meditate. That's the purpose of service. The purpose of service is that we engage our body, our mind, our intelligence in such a way that we can draw out the feeling for Krishna. That is the purpose of seva. And seva is very integral to our movement. And deity worship, what is deity worship? Deity worship is actually like, just like they have flight simulator, they create that environment of what it feels like to fly in the sky for a potential pilot. So in the same way, um, we are all aspiring residents of the spiritual world. So, uh, sorry, spiritual world. So, deity worship is actually a simulation of spiritual world, basically. So we have Tulsi, who is, Vrinda Devi. We have the deities, and we have, most importantly, we have Guru Parampara. So, deity worship means very important. In our ISKCON, Prabhupada emphasized two things very strictly. Prabhupada emphasized punctuality and Prabhupada emphasized cleanliness. So at home, Srila Prabhupada, when he was, of course, when Prabhupada was as a grihastha, uh, Prabhupada was describing to his Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj that Prabhupada every day, Prabhupada used to bathe Radha offer Mangalarti. Prabhupada used to bathe Radha Govinda. Prabhupada used to dress Radha Govinda. Prabhupada used to cook for Radha Govinda. Prabhupada used to sew even the clothes for Radha Govinda. And Prabhupada writes, in his instructions that how one should have regular artis at home. And Prabhupada is actually doing that. Like if you're living in a home and you have to do like Mangal Arati, Bhog Arati, evening Arati, night Arati, how much, management, how much arrangement that requires. So Prabhupada was actually doing that as a grihastha. So it's very important, like we say, Monday to Friday, make your home a temple. So when you make your home a temple means that the deity should be prominent, very prominent at home. And just like in the temple, right, anyone who comes to the temple, they immediately understand that here is the Supreme Lord. And we have to offer our obeisances, we have to offer our regard to any mundane person. So in the same way, at home also, there should be that kind of prominence. Only if that prominence is there, then only the desire to enjoy independent of Krishna will go, right? So that's very important. At home also. Same way as in the temple, we are maintaining punctuality and cleanliness. At home also. To the extent possible, we should maintain at least cleanliness. And this is the purpose of the deity. What is the purpose of the deity in our life, especially in the current ISKCON scenario? Is to establish that Paramatma connection. What is Paramatma connection? Is that a pure devotee, everything he does is by the will of the Lord. So we also have to develop that kind of connection with the deity. That before any decision we take, whether major or minor, what should we speak, what should we not speak? I'm speaking for myself. We can pray to the deity. We can pray to Srila Prabhupada. And that constant cultivation of that prayerful mood is very, very helpful in our Krishna consciousness because it checks the false ego. It checks the nature of doing things the way we want. So that is a purpose, real purpose of deity worship. Real purpose of deity worship is not just offering arti or offering bhoga, but like His Grace Guru Prabhu mentioned, is that when Krishna accepts our service, Krishna accepts us. So in the same way, when we accept the opportunity to serve Krishna, we accept the opportunity for Krishna to interfere in our life. So when we are prayerful that we want to do everything to please the Supreme Lord, everything in our life, then that is a success of deity worship. That is success of deity worship. So the purpose of deity worship is that we can think of him more and more by our service. Like how is it possible to think of someone always when you have to do some service, when you have to take responsibility? So just as we take responsibility for the deity in the temple, what is the most important responsibility actually? If you take this one responsibility, all other responsibilities will be accomplished. What is that responsibility? That responsibility is that the deity should be pleased. If we take this one responsibility, if the deity should be pleased, then all other responsibilities will automatically come. We'll be reminded. mm, We'll be reminded if we are cultivating that connection. Same thing at home also. It doesn't matter. Even, a picture. If we are cultivating the responsibility to please the deity, and also at the same time we're cultivating the responsibility to please the person whom the deity belongs to. The deity belongs to whom? The deity belongs to Guru. The deity belongs to Srila Prabhupada. So when we cultivate the responsibility to please them, then only we'll get intelligence to please the deity. And only when we please, yasya deve, mm, यस्य देवे परा भक्ति तथा देवे तथा परो तस्यति कथिता hi artya prakashante mahatmana. So when we please the Supreme Lord Krishna and when we please the spiritual master, then what happens? We develop uh, unflinching faith. Unflinching faith. And that unflinching faith opens the door to uh, having that connection. Having that connection. So when you have unflinching faith means you will feel that connection. How is bhakti going on? How is your devotional service going on? What do you need to do? All those things. If we have actual faith that Krishna is here, Radharani is here, then they will reveal in our heart. Tesham sadyuktanam bhajtam priti. How we can render them loving service. So yeah, this is very, very important. So deity worship means to accept Krishna as our only Lord, our only Master, and develop that one-pointed Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, one-pointed desire to give pleasure to Him. It's like this Holy Saladar Maharaj says so nicely. He says that dustbin, you see in a dustbin in this world, it says use me. So our point is that we are telling to Guru and Krishna, use me, and we're telling others, don't use me. So that's very important. So deity worship helps to solidify that connection, solidify our sambandha gyan, solidify our prayojan, solidify our um, desire to actually uh, go to that world, to at least attain that consciousness, to attain love of Godhead. So we should always be praying. And also very important is that we should do deity worship in a mode of assisting the pure devotees. That's very, very important because speaking for myself, what qualification do I have to worship, Radha and Krishna or God Nitai, whoever? I have no qualification. Or even if to some extent, I'm doing something which may be quote unquote pleasing, still it is no comparison to the kind of pleasure that the pure devotees can give to the Supreme Lord. So deity worship means simply to link pure devotees to the Supreme Lord. We are offering uh, the pure devotees to the Supreme Lord. We are, on behalf of them, we are offering their devotion to the Supreme Lord. And by offering their devotion, their mood to Supreme Lord, by their grace, we are getting little remnants of their mood in our heart. That is a mode of deity worship. As a mode of any service, practically. So, yeah, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to actually become absorbed in the thought of the Lord, become absorbed in the thought of, the spiritual world. And Krishna is very, very merciful, very, very merciful. And all we have to do is we have to pray, Krishna, oh, please, I don't want anything. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. I don't want, but I just want this, that please engage me constantly in your loving service. Please give me the intelligence how to serve you. and please interfere in my life, interfere and help me. So deity worship brings this consciousness of how Krishna, Srimati Radharani, uh, Guru Parampara, how they are actually part of our life. I mean, they are the center. They are the center, and ultimately they are the only persons in our life. And most importantly, that our only goal in life is to please them. That is the purpose of deity worship. It's to bring the Lord closer to us, bring the Lord closer to us, and bring our relationship with the Lord uh, in more and more prominence in our life. You know. So that's the purpose of deity worship. And we should always remember that the purpose, as here it is being mentioned, to be absorbed in trance, that Dhruva became absorbed in trance. The purpose of deity worship, the purpose of all our services ultimately is to be able to meditate on the Lord, to remember the Lord. That is the purpose. So I'm speaking for myself. We should never neglect our sadhana in the name of deity worship of any other service. Why? Because hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is what actually gives springs, is actually what develops the service attitude. And without the seva bhav, without that eagerness, oh, when will I offer? How will I offer? When can I serve? With a mood of eagerness and gratitude, being for myself, any service is not so much uh, pleasing to Krishna, pleasing to Krishna. So, yeah, this is the essence of this verse, and it's a very, very wonderful verse actually, on how deity worship, if performed very consciously and very, you know, sensitively. This is last point, that we have to be very sensitive in our deity worship. What does sensitivity mean? It means that we're becoming sensitive towards the devotees. So if we are actually successful in deity worship, means we'll be following Trinadapi Sunichara. Actually, it means we won't commit aparadha to devotees. If we are worshiping the deity very nicely and then committing aparadha to devotees, means that, speaking for myself, that means I'm not doing deity worship properly. That's why Lord is not giving me intelligence on how to treat devotees properly and get the blessings of the devotees. And they are the real, actually, uh, devotees are the real deities for us, because they are the ones who will give us the mercy. So, yeah, this is a very, very wonderful verse, and it's very instructive. So, please forgive me if I spoke anything inappropriate. I am 6 minutes late. Please forgive me. Anyone has any question or comment? Online, anyone has any question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Prabhuji, thank you for such an insightful class and many points to reflect upon. Prabhuji, you mentioned that many times it happens that we also do sense gratification under the name of the services or deity worship. So, I didn't get the point that how we are satisfying our senses while serving for the Lord. Means, yes, definitely we are deriving pleasure by serving the Lord. So, could you please explain this elaboratively?
No, no, I'm not talking about while serving the Lord. What I'm saying is that sometimes uh, there is no problem in doing whatever we're doing. Like, for example, what is that? I'm not talking about deity worship. I'm talking about outside deity worship. Like, for example, like, we go on YouTube, you know, and we watch something maybe Krishna conscious only, but then, we are indirectly using that in a way to gratify our desire to see things which are maybe not so Krishna conscious, like, we are listening to some I'm just giving a example. We're listening to some Krishna conscious rap song, but the focus is not on Krishna. The focus is on, the rap music, or, like that, for example, So, mm, Srila Gaur Krishnadas Prabhuji Maharaj said that he was telling in reference to Rath Yatra that if Krishna conscious activities, if they actually, you know, stimulate a mood of enjoyment, that I am the enjoyer, this kind of mood, if it stimulates, means that something is wrong. So, I mean, I myself need to improve a lot, but yeah, that's what I heard. Because Krishna consciousness stimulates a mood very important of uh, pure knowledge. Because when we actually serve the Lord, uh, wherever it may be, what happens is that our all the senses, or most of the senses, they become filled up with knowledge, or understanding of what is correct and what is not correct by the mercy of that service. But then when we engage in sense gratification, speaking for myself, then what happens is that that knowledge goes away, and then we are not so much situated on the platform of unflinching faith, unflinching dependence. So I'm not talking about worshiping the Lord, but I'm talking about, like, in the name of Krishna consciousness, exposing ourselves to opportunities for sense gratification. And of course, this is not including prasadam. Of course, prasadam is no problem, but I'm talking about outside prasadam, many things, which is, it's in this world, I'm sure you have a lot of experience, very easy to kind of expose oneself to such situations. So what I said is, for the deity worship to be successful, one has to be very careful not to expose ourselves to such situations. And that's why I gave the example of Prabhupada. How much careful was Srila Prabhupada? As a worldwide Acharya, what was the kind of standard he was setting? Right? But he never allowed himself, even though he is completely beyond this Maya, but still, Prabhupada was very, very vigilant, very, very careful, you know. So, yeah, so this is the thing.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji, for using the wrong words. Please forgive me for my
No,
ignorance.
no, no.
Yes, Prabhuji, got it now. Means we need to be very careful while being in the process. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, see, opportunity to absorb ourselves in the Lord is a great privilege. So the thing is that even if we get that privilege, if our habit is not so, if we are not chaste towards pleasing the senses of Krishna, then we may not be able to retain that privilege of meditating on Krishna, that absorption in Krishna. We cannot hold that. So, yeah, so that's why we have to be. And Krishna is very merciful that he gives us unlimited opportunities to develop our absorption in him. So that is Krishna's mercy actually, when Krishna gives us opportunities through service to absorb ourselves in him, like whatever service. That's why service is a privilege. It's not a right, it's a privilege. When Krishna gives us service, that is a great privilege, because in that time our mind is not independent. Our mind is absorbed in the Lord. So that is a great privilege. You know? So yeah, but I'm sure all of you are already following very strictly. But I'm just speaking, only for myself, because yeah, it's very important. Because deity worship, from my little experience, is not just what you do in front of the deity, but it's a lot on what you do outside the deity worship. So yeah. By association with the deity, association with the picture, that mood should develop. That, hey, yesterday, say for example, I did this, you know, and this is not pleasing to the deity. So I should behave in such a way as if the deity is always in front of me. Like, speaking for myself, if the deity is in front of me, will I shout at someone? Will I offend someone? You know? So yeah, we need to. I'm speaking for myself again. That that I use deity worship as a way to kind of increase my awareness of my behavior, my surroundings, and everything. So, and we can pray actually. We can pray whenever we see the deity that please always keep your merciful glance on me and only allow me to do things which are very pleasing to you. Like if we can, only goal in my life is to make the deity happy, to make the deity smile. Like we all have the experience, right? When we feel sometimes the deity is smiling, how much joy we get in our heart, right? So using that joy as an incentive, we joy of the deity, the joy of the guru as an incentive, we can actually develop the determination to avoid things which are not conducive to the deity's pleasure.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, if nobody else,
Very nice realizations, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing.
thank you very much. You all are following better than me. Very sincere and much more pleasing to the deities than I can imagine. So, I pray for all of your blessings so that I can live my life in such a way, as Saraswati Thakur mentioned, don't try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will want to come and see you, or Krishna will be pleased. So that is the mood of our parampara.